Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 31st May, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 8. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, Madras High Court stays center's notification on sale of cattle for slaughter in animal markets. So this is regarding the recent rules which have been notified. We have discussed this in detail on 27th of May. So here the Madras High Court is staying the operation of rules under this, and this is based on a petition, a PIL, which has been filed in the Madras High Court challenging the constitutional validity of these rules. We have already discussed an article on this too, and you should be aware of these provisions that the rules are framed under Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act of 1970, and rules cannot go against the provisions of the act. So when the act is permitting slaughter of animals as well as sale of animals for slaughter, how can the rules which are notified under it prevent it? So that is one main question which has been raised in the PIL. Then it also says that the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1970 specifically in section 28 says that it will not be an offense to kill any animal in a manner required by a religion or a community. And this rules are specifically preventing animal slaughter for as religious sacrifice. So this is a provision which is also challenged. So this, it says, is offending the right to freedom of religion guaranteed under Article 25 of, and even protection of interests of minorities under Article 29 of the Constitution. Then prohibition of sale of cattle for slaughter in animal markets. This amounts to interfering with the right to practice any profession, trade, occupation or business guaranteed under the Constitution under Article 19(1)(g). So this is again a violation of a fundamental right. 2 fundamental rights violated, 3 rather. With respect to minorities, there are to freedom of religion and the minorities. Then another point which is raised is that the term animal market is being defined in the rules in such a manner that any place or a sale yard or any premise in which the animals are brought for purchase and sale, that is an animal market. So that is the broad definition of animal market provided to. The third challenge which is put forth is regarding right to choice of food. So if somebody wants to be a non-vegetarian, so the right to personal liberty, conscience and privacy is also violated because of these rules is being stated. And finally, the PIL says that this provisions, rules which have been made, these are not under the domain of the center. Under the 7th schedule of the Constitution, provisions concerning markets, fairs, preservation or protection and improvement of livestock fall within the state list. So only state legislature and not the center is empowered to enact laws and frame statutory rules under those subjects. So these are the challenges being raised to this rules which have been notified recently. So here the gist of these rules are being stated again. Cattle cannot be sold in the market. As such, it can be sold only if both buyer and seller certify that it will not be slaughtered. So that is there. Since animal markets include lairage, even legal slaughterhouses will have a problem sourcing animals. So we have done this also earlier, that slaughtering business occupation would be affected, exports would be affected, plus also with respect to carcasses. If of a dead animal to even the carcass cannot be sold. So people's livelihood are also affected. And its cattle including bulls, cows, bullocks, buffaloes, all animals are included under this definition. Then the next news item is Babri case. Advani, Joshi, Bharti charged with criminal conspiracy. So this is regarding the Babri Masjid demolition case. So in this earlier it had been in news that the case will be transferred from Raebareli court to Lucknow court, and also the criminal conspiracy charges which had been dropped earlier, now they have been reinstated. So special CBI court in Lucknow has charged the leaders, senior BJP leaders L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi and Union Minister presently for Water Resources Uma Bharti with criminal conspiracy. So this is the case. So they will now face trial in the criminal conspiracy case. This is a case almost 25 years old regarding the demolition of the Mughal era mosque Babri Masjid in Ayodhya. So this was demolished by car sevaks. So now the special CBI court says there is sufficient evidence to frame charges against them, and charges are already against them. What charges have been added up are criminal conspiracy charges. So earlier charges which are already been running against these leaders are regarding rioting, unlawful assembly, promoting enmity between different groups, imputations, assertions prejudicial to national integration, and statements conducing to public mischief. So these charges are already there, plus a criminal conspiracy charge. So that is the case. So these charges had been framed against these leaders after Supreme Court in April 2017 used its extraordinary constitutional powers under Article 142 to revive this case, these charges against them. So Allahabad High Court had dropped these charges earlier in 2010. Then this gives the details of the criminal conspiracy also here. So you can see that the Bajrang Dal had conducted month-long training in 1992 of retired military officers. So these were 38 members called Lakshman Sena, who were trained to tear down the Babri Masjid structure. Even there was plan B, that if everything failed, then dynamite should be used on the structure. Even in the end, petrol bombs were apparently used on the structure too. So this is a criminal conspiracy which had been planned as such. So these are the charges now put forth. So these are the provisions under the Supreme Court order too. So Supreme Court allowed the appeal of CBI that conspiracy charges should be restored against the BJP leaders. So these criminal conspiracy charges have been now restored as such by the CBI court. It had also asked the trial to be completed within 2 years. There should be day-to-day hearing of the case in the CBI court. No adjournments will be there in the case, and CBI should examine some prosecution witnesses daily, and there will be no de novo trial. De novo trial means fresh trial recalling examined witnesses, so that the case is completed quickly. So this is the gist of the order of the Supreme Court earlier too, based on which CBI court has now revived criminal conspiracy charges. Then the next news item is Modi-Merkel nudge FTA, sign a dozen agreements. So this is regarding India-Germany meet. We have been discussing it for the last 2 days. So both sides have agreed that there is a need to resume negotiations on BTIA, Broad-Based Trade and Investment Agreement between India and EU. We have discussed about this BTIA too earlier. There have been 16 rounds of negotiations on this, but the negotiations have been stalled since 2013 because both Europe, also many European countries, and even India was in election mode then. So this is regarding that. So no developments as such, only the need to revive has been put forth. And other MOUs which have been signed between India and Germany are low profile MOUs on subjects like education, health, sustainability, cyber police, railway safety, and also on skill development. So training of Indian skill development officers and cluster managers would be facilitated. So this is regarding India-Germany. Next is Dhola Sadia Bridge, named after Bhupen Hazarika. So Dhola Sadia Bridge, which we have discussed earlier over river Brahmaputra, which was recently inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's a 9.15 kilometer bridge, India's longest bridge. It has been named after legendary singer Bhupen Hazarika. So this bridge is going to reduce the travel time between Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. And Bhupen Hazarika is a famous playback singer, lyricist, musician, and also filmmaker from Assam. So he's famously known as Sudhakanta also. He's been a Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, a Padma Shri awardee. Even he has been given the Dada Saheb Phalke Award for cinematic contributions as such too. And many of his songs have been translated into various languages, especially in Bengali and Hindi. And he's introduced the Assamese folk language and the songs in mainstream Hindi cinema as well. So that is there. His songs are marked by humanity and universal brotherhood, as stated. Then the next news item is Orissa is ganja's ground zero. So ganja is illegal in the country, but it is grown illegally in various stretches in Orissa, which are inaccessible to the forest departments as such too, and also it is the top marijuana producing state in the country. But of course there are actions taken, and the crops, such cannabis crops, are destroyed by the law enforcement agencies. And in the last year's case, from 2016-17 financial year, Orissa accounted for 47% of such cannabis crops destroyed. So that is why even Orissa, and specifically Kandhamal district in Orissa, is called the nucleus of ganja crop nationally. So this is being stated here regarding these illegal crops being sown here, and it is a highly suited climatic condition which is present here, but it is harmful to the health, and it is illegal to grow these crops in the country. And also this region is Maoist infected, plus poverty levels are high. So then the next news item is legalizing gambling, law panel in moral quandary. So this is the law commission which is seeking the views of the public and the stakeholders on whether gambling and betting should be legalized in the country. So whether it is morally correct in the Indian circumstances, what would happen if it is legalized, and how to safeguard against bankruptcy, because people who indulge in gambling and betting, they also end up into bankruptcy. So how should that go? If it is legalized, then should foreign betting and gambling companies be allowed? So these are a list of questions which have been put forth. Also, there is a question put forth that will betting and gambling help, licensing betting and gambling, will it help government in earning substantial revenue and generate employment? So all these points are being put forth as questions to the people. They would submit their responses, and a report would be prepared by the Law Commission and submitted to the government. So Supreme Court had actually asked the Law Commission to study the possibility of legalizing betting, and this was done because this is in the backdrop of IPL scandal which had happened, betting scandal, spot fixing. So in this case, the Lodha panel, which had been appointed by the Supreme Court, had also recommended that betting should be legalized. So betting is illegal in the country. So there are now demands being made, and these questions are being put forth to the public now. So we'll see the response and further developments on this case. So presently, the regulations which are there, because the regulations are there, but in implementation, we see that the safeguards are not sufficient. Still, people indulge in betting and gambling. So the regulations which are there at state level too, and even the pre-independence law, Public Gambling Act of 1867, British colonial era law, these regulations here are not sufficient to regulate online or virtual gambling. So this is the main root of crime, corruption and money laundering. So this needs to be regulated. So this is there. Then another point which is put forth is there's a lot of money which is involved in illegal gambling business. So this is a parallel economy which is running. So legally earned money is converted into black money and trained in gambling operators across the country online. So that is why questions are being raised now. And the Supreme Court has also given its views on betting and gambling. So with respect to horse racing, this has been declared by the Supreme Court as a game. It is not a game of skill. It is not a game of chance. So there cannot be any betting gambling in that context. Also in another case, Supreme Court has held that even rummy is a game of skill and not based entirely on chance. So this to justify that you cannot have betting gambling, because betting gambling is done on something which is based on chance. And something which is not based on chance and based on skills as such, then how can there be betting gambling legalized for that purpose? So that is there. Then the next news item is Vibrant Gujarat Summit forced silence on Zika. So Zika virus case, we have discussed this earlier a few days back regarding the three Zika virus cases which have been identified in Ahmedabad in Gujarat, and they have been reported and brought in public after 6 months. So it was reported in Jan 4, 2017. It was confirmed as such through lab tests. Still, it was not stated in public domain, and the government justifies this action saying that they did not want panic in the people. But then safeguards had to be provided. It's World Health Organization's requirements that countries have to notify World Health Organization within 24 hours. So that was not also done. It was after 6 months in May that even World Health Organization came to know about these Zika virus cases. And now a probability which is coming forth is that this Zika virus case was kept under wraps because this was the time when Vibrant Gujarat Summit was also being held. So from 9 to 13 Jan 2017, Vibrant Gujarat Summit was held. It's a global trade show. So many foreign traders, investors come in the country. So if this Zika virus case had been announced at that time, then it would have ruined this summit. There would be trade restrictions which had to be brought in. A travel advisory would be issued, and this would not be good for the summit at that time. So this is a point which is being put forth here. Then the next news item is the last one. Minesweeper deal to be inked soon. So this also we have discussed earlier, that minesweepers, which are these crucial ships, vessels, these are mine countermeasure vessels. So these detect mines and explosives which are planted by the enemy targeting the ships of the country that enter or leave harbors. So these minesweepers are essential, but then India will be having no minesweeper for next 3 years minimum, because we have not still started procuring new minesweepers. So our minesweepers are going to be aging. There are 4 minesweepers presently with the Indian Navy, and they'll retire by 2018 end. So this, So then the deal negotiation is going on with South Korea. So India and South Korea are finalizing this deal worth 32,640 crores. So this is a deal for 12 minesweepers, which will be developed under technology transfer agreement and will be made in India. Goa Shipyard Limited has been nominated as the yard for construction by the government, but the deal has not been finalized yet. Once finalized, then the first of the ships would be coming as such after that. So it will be taking 3 years after the contract is signed. So even if the contract is signed presently, it's only after 3 years that we'll get this first minesweeper inducted. So this is being stated here. So here you can see how minesweepers work. So these ships use scan sonar system to detect bottom mines placed on the seabed or moored mines that float at predetermined paths. So these mines can explode either by contact or even can be activated by pressure, acoustics means sound related, or even magnetic signature. So these hulls of minesweepers are made of glass reinforced plastic, and it is such that it will reduce the magnetic signature and allow safer passage through waters. Also, these ships deploy remotely operated vehicles which detonate the mines and render them safe. So this is what we are seeking presently from South Korea. So 12 minesweepers presently to be built in India. Also, Indian Navy has stated that we'll be needing much more later too. So this is regarding this minesweepers. So these are the news items. Thank you.